time, so there's no question. Until we get that other round of bids for our technology, which should be coming shortly, now that you see we got this new video, then we will have tabletop mics that will help. So remember, you have to, can I have one of those? Remember, you have to speak loudly. All right, I have a very, very short presentation. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. I did an in-depth presentation last time, but for y'all and for the public's sake, I want to walk through a couple of things, and it's up on the screens behind you. You can see how crystal clear they are from here. So just a reminder about Gun Barrel City Strategic Priority Guiding Principles. These are in your strategic plan. Rita, you also have a copy, so you don't have to turn around if you don't want to, but you can. Promoting Gun Barrel City, comprehensive and proactive quality of life program strengthens the health, comfort, and happiness experienced by citizens, visitors, and businesses in Gun Barrel. Employers are able to hire highly trained and productive employees. And then comprehensive long-range planning for Gun Barrel City will enhance, preserve, and protect the community, its commercial customers, its citizens, and its visitors. Current economic conditions. Continued inflation and interest rate instability resulted in a decrease of sales tax revenues from 22 to 24. Overall, the outlook for the next 2 years remains stable. Depending on who you listen to, it's somewhere between 2% and 8%. I'll tell you, the Texas Comptroller has thrown out both numbers in 2 different conversations. So it's just really hard to predict because it depends a lot on people's spending habits, right? Other revenues, we've seen increases in fees with association with our TABC, our alarm permits, our STRs, our gaming machines, our park rentals, and our commercial permits, and we'll talk through some of those and the reasons. We've seen some decreases in residential permits, and we've seen some increases in fines, arrest fees, and warrant fees. As y'all know, building a budget on sales tax and fines and fees is difficult. All revenue is subject to economic conditions. This is the Gun Barrel City current financial condition as of June of 2025. Y'all saw this mid-year. You saw this again at our workshop. You're seeing it again today. The required 90-day reserve, I did fix my math, April. The required 90-day reserve is $1,379,130. That is by policy. Council agreed in their financial policies to hold 90 days. That's just in case something ever happens, right? We have another pandemic and every business in town shuts down for 90 days. We can keep ourselves afloat. I will tell you, it's not uncommon to keep more than the 90 days. So I am in no way telling this council or giving you the advice to spend all but 90 days, right? That's not sometimes enough. But we have about $938,166.05 over and above that 90 days, which is almost 180 days, if that's my math, right? 90 days in reserve, and then another almost total that 90 days in backup. Capital Improvement Fund, as you look at this, you see that as of June, we had $1,624,012.36. Please also remember that a little over $1 million of that is dedicated to going toward the community center. It was the city's contribution and the EDC's contribution to up the grant money, and then our two $500,000 contributions, a $500 and a $425. And then we also last year contributed some money out of capital improvement toward police vehicles. We don't transfer that money until the very end of the year, and it's based on need, right? So if we allocated 140 and we actually only needed 30 of that because of how the budgets all worked out, then that's what we would transfer. But today, that money is encumbered, is what you call it. So there is about $573,000 in the capital improvement fund that could be spent. Keep in mind, you should never spend these things on ongoing expenses because they are there one time for you to spend. They're not there every year, right? So any money you allocate out of this, you wouldn't want to allocate this for an ongoing maintenance contract. You wouldn't want to allocate this for the lease of a car or the lease of a fire truck because that debt is going to renew itself every year, and this is one-time money. Special budget note, all of you know this, I'm doing this as much for the public as I am for you. As we made council aware on Tuesday, August 5th, it was brought to staff's attention there was a mistake in the proposed budget as presented on August the 1st by charter. In the police department budget, there was an $80,000 discrepancy between what Social Security and Medicare should have been and the number that was entered in the proposed budget. We sincerely apologize for that mistake. While Mickey, the city treasurer, and I spent countless hours checking the math and ensuring everything is correct, the mistake was made. We are thankful it was caught and we were able to get it fixed before the budget was approved, because it just as easily could have made it that far, to be honest with you. In a nearly $6 million budget, there are endless drafts and hundreds of changes as we go through this process starting in March, and many hours of staring at a spreadsheet. This was an honest mistake, where a cell that was supposed to be a 9 ended up a 1. We're so thankful to Councilman Burson for finding it and bringing it to our attention before our workshop. For some perspective, the city treasurer and I spent nearly 10 hours reworking the budget following that find. The council was emailed a new proposed budget on Wednesday, August 6th, and a new amended proposed budget was placed in council mailboxes and placed online. Good news in the budget. First and foremost, we want to ensure we're being fiscally responsible. The budget as presented is based on the amount of forecasted sales tax, fines, fees, revenues versus forecasted expenditures. Your city manager will never recommend a budget where we pull out of your reserves. Capital improvement fund, sure, to pay for hard equipment like cars or computers, but I'm never going to make a recommendation that you pull out of reserves to do that kind of thing. So I take, here's the revenue we have, here's the expenses we have. We have dedicated that capital improvement fund to paying for equipment. So if there is one-time purchase like a admin vehicle or like computers where it's a one-time thing, then we have the ability to pull out of there. Good news, we have a better handle on our computer hardware and software costs. You've heard me say this. It takes a city manager about 18 months to really understand spending habits, what we're allocating funding to, what we spend that money on. You know, you've heard me say we've done some operation costs. I come in, I look at a $13,000 office supply budget. Really, what are we spending that money on, right? And so we start to narrow that down and look at each of those line items and really challenge our department heads to be smarter about how they do work. That's always something any new city manager is going to come in and do and look at and question as they go through the process. Our fleet is in better condition than it's ever been, right? We bought lots of new police cars last year. You guys bought new trucks during COVID. COVID was good for most cities. I wished it hadn't been, but it really was, at the end of the day, pretty good financially for cities. And so, same in Rowlett. We had an influx of sales tax during that time because people were ordering it and having it delivered to their house. We were able to buy new vehicles, and you guys did that. And that was a smart investment because our vehicle maintenance costs have dropped, right? Parks fees and fines and warrants are increasing. We have people using our ball fields. We have people using our tennis courts. Those ball fields have fees associated with them. So if you rent it for practices, we had practices almost every night this spring. We had we had games on Friday nights. They pay a fee to host those. And then we had some tournaments on the weekends. Challenges were sales tax funded, right? It's a volatile market. It just is. Prices are increasing in a lot of cases. And cost of living is increasing in some cases. So, you know, we just have to take all that into consideration. That makes people tend to slow their buying down just a little bit. We have a community that's growing. I am very anxious to see the census count from July 1st. It is not up yet. As a matter of fact, when I went to look the other day when I was doing this, the census website was down completely. On April the 1st of 2020, the census said there were 6,182 people that lived in Gun Barrel. On July 1st of 2024, it was 6,999. I would almost bet it's higher than that today. And as you all know, we have a population of 7,000 that blooms to 12,000 on any given Saturday. Around a holiday, around the first of the month, around any event we do, around the summer as a whole. And so our traffic is increasing. Great news is we've built up some great partnerships with TxDOT and Encore that at a phone call are here to see what our needs are. We have infrastructure issues. We have road problems. We have drainage problems. We have some amenity issues. There's some amenities at the park that need love, and we're beginning to see that happen. Trails are a big one. No matter what anybody says, businesses come here because their employees can enjoy this space. And quality of life is huge for businesses and for residents when they decide to move here. So if they show up and our park is a mess, they're going to go look somewhere where they have a nicer park that they can enjoy that out space. I spent my whole career doing that. Y'all know that. There are proven facts and proven figures that show that. We have computers that are outdated. We have some heavy equipment that is outdated. Our ball fields need work. Our pavilion needs work. Our park trails, y'all all know that. That's something we're working on. And while we've seen some revenue increase, some things have an added toll on staff. We increase ball field usage, that drives revenue, but it also is increased work on our parks team, who now has to be here on the weekends to make sure the ball fields are drugged, because you have to do that for safety purposes. PD goes out and they're doing their job. They're on the street. They're issuing citations. They're trying to slow down traffic. That has an additional burden on our court system that now has to process these warrants and fines and tickets and the whole 9 yards. So it's just part of it. It's part of what comes with it. You have seen this before, the budget process. My team started this in March. This isn't Nikki and I in a closet putting this together. Keith or Mickey or Janet or any department head would tell you it is a very long process. They start by putting together their request, which was that very long want and need list you got. We do a lot of negotiations. They take a long, hard look at their operational costs. And operationals are office supplies, department supplies, building maintenance, contractual agreements. That's how we ended up with a full list of every computer program someone uses. I have a list that's living in our budget folder now, and we know exactly what that is, and we know what it costs us every year to use it. Allows us to start looking to see if there are cheaper options, right? Without an IT department, no one really managed that. Departments needed something, they went out and got it, and we went on about our business. So now we have a better grasp on all of that. But department heads take a long, hard look at their budget, along with their needs and wants. We had our meeting with you all to really kind of talk about priorities. Then we went back to the budget, started looking at at that point we had $1,000. So we had to go back and look at, these are the things, how much do these things cost, and how do we get closer to having some funding? So we dug deeper, right? Where in here can we find, what can we have some savings on? Nikki and I frequently don't make that decision. I don't make that decision until the very end, where I start asking questions to my department heads. You have $10,000 in this account. What are you going to do with it? What kind of negotiation power do I have in order to save the city money? Now, it is up to the department head to decide if they can live within that frame, and they get every opportunity to say, no, Angie, I can't do it. And I have some that do. I have some that came to me and said, you cannot take that garage sale money. We have to buy new signs this year. Okay, good enough. Let's put money back in. Colby, fire department, please don't take that money. I have to do this. Okay, good enough. We'll we'll start having those conversations. And so they sign off on those budget sheets as we go to make sure they can operate within them. It's all part of the process. Today we have this workshop. You have the proposed budget in front of you. I will answer any questions. My hope is we're here for a couple of hours. By 5 o'clock, we're able to come to some kind of consensus. We will either schedule a follow-up workshop, or we will move forward with your recommendations like we did last year. My hope would be to approve this budget at the August meeting. We have a public hearing, and then we approve it, and then we have a public hearing for the tax rate, which is set at 0. We still have to do that, and then we approve the tax rate at 0 at our September meeting, and we are ready to go October 1st. This is just the highlights of the first page. You can see that we are presenting you a balanced budget, taking $60,000 out of the capital improvement. For the gist of that really is for the computers, for the police computers, and for the police vehicle, for the police admin vehicle, because again, that would not cover ongoing costs. This is the highlights of revenues and expenses. You can see the majority of our revenue comes from sales tax, and the majority of our expenses, with good reason, go to our friends at the police department. So that public safety always does. I don't want anybody to look at that and say, oh my God, why does that cost us? It always is. It is typically the most staffed department, and the resources they have and the staff that they have cost money to have, but you can't have a community without it. It's a little like quality of life. People aren't going to come here if you're getting held up at gunpoint on the street out here, right?
That's true.
So revenues, we are seeing year-to-date increases over fiscal year 2025 with liquor permitting. I'm going to be honest, that is better tracking and enforcement on our part. We've seen 181% increase, and I believe now we have hit a level, we have collected every back fee owed, and we are current with the exception of one, which our code enforcement officer is helping us hash out. But what we have collected today is what we will collect every year going forward because we now have their on track. Short-term rentals, we have seen 130% increase. Some of you know, some of you don't. I sent a rather nasty letter to our short-term rental owners mid-June, late June, demanding they register by August 1st or we would start enforcement. And I believe we have all but about 4 that have either called and said, hey, whoa, lady, I don't register anymore, and we will continue to track that. We have verified that on those resources you cannot book their home. But Shannon, in this week alone, I think has done 10 inspections. And we have some that haven't passed. They've converted their garage to a bedroom, and there's no escape route, or there are a number of things that they're going to have to tinker. Yes, sir.
Can you tell me what that percentage from going from whatever it is to whatever it is? Do you have that figure now?
What do you mean?
The money-wise, revenue coming in. Because you're showing it from 50 to 20. So what is the number now?
I'll have to look. There is, I think I'll have to confirm how many, and then they would be we figured that many. It's on that, I believe it's.
So it's 180% over what?
Over what we collected in the past, last year. Yeah,
Okay.
that
Which was
is,
nothing,
yeah.
basically.
Short-term rentals is 130% increase over last year's budget. These are all comparing this year's revenue to last year's revenue.
Thank you. That's neat.
Commercial permits, obviously, we're seeing an increase in that, 148% this year over last year. That will continue to go up. We've got new businesses popping up. We have Pier 334 has gotten I know they've gotten their plan review. I believe they have now gotten their permits. I know they just had a few little things to do. We've got HTO coming in. We've got 7 Brew coming in. We've got all those people that are doing permits on new commercial. We also have existing commercial alarm permits. That's because of better enforcement. Our police realized that they were almost a year ago now. They were responding to alarm calls all over town and nobody had a registered alarm. So they started visiting businesses saying, you have to have your alarm registered, go register with the city, because that tells them who to call, and now they know who to reach out to. If an alarm's just going off, you don't know who to call when you get there. So that was nearly a 500% increase, and it was just better enforcement, right? Fined, arrest fees, and warrants, better enforcement. Our guys are on the street. They're out taking care of business. I do want to explain that anytime you see fines or arrest fees, that's not a quota. That's based on any increase is based on what we had the previous year, right? So this year it's $300,000. It's not that I'm out there telling Keith, you got to go write $300,000 worth of tickets, just like I'm not telling Shannon, you got to go find businesses to build $200,000 worth of business permits, right? It is just based on what we collected this year. And then P&Z and BOA fees. More development. Having Brittany in place as a city planner has been probably one of my top 10 career decisions. And I've made a lot of them that I'm proud of. I am really, really proud of Brittany. She has killed it. She has got that in a box. She is doing an amazing job. I get a lot less questions today than I did 6 months ago when she spent more time in my office than she spent in hers. But we've seen an increase, and we're having better conversations. We're not having as many BOAs. presentations in, we're having better conversations with people. There's less disappointment when you get here, right? We're saying, hey, look, here's the 4 things you have to prove if you want this. But we're also seeing some decrease. So there is some commercial permits for existing businesses. We're going to get to a place where we don't have any more existing businesses for you to remodel, right? And so that's when we really are going to depend on that relationship with the EDC to go out and recruit for us. Residential permits are down. Why? The housing market ain't great. I got a bunch of houses that I passed from my leaving here and going home that are sitting vacant. They built them. We've also lost some of our developers. We had a developer in town building houses like crazy. Well, they then stole water from a neighboring house and stole some electricity, and now they're in clinker, right? So they've actually, East Cedar Creek Water District pressed charges on them because of their building practices, and so now you see we have some houses started that are just sitting because those developers are no longer in business. And so that's something Shannon's really working on. Residential permits, new permits, existing permits. You're not remodeling your home if the market's not great, right? You're just not investing that money in it right now. HUD home permits, and our bingo allocation. Bingo is a great example of why we have to be careful in how we budget, right? Because Lucky's opens, they have bingo every Wednesday night. They've stolen a lot of our bingo traffic. If our one bingo booth closes down, then we have some issues, right? So then we'll talk a little bit about salaries. You've seen this over and over and over. We put it together last year because I got asked and I didn't know, but I think it's something fair to share. This year we're proposing a 1-step for all employees. We did see a 2% decrease in our health insurance. So our health insurance went from $10.87, Mickey, roughly 1080 something, roughly, to $9.95 per employee. And I really think that's because our employees really are being cognizant of using their benefits. I want you to use it, but do we have to go to the emergency room or should we go to our doctor? And we've started having those conversations. Mickey has now also started some wellness stuff with our employees. So as our HR, Mickey also wears our HR director hat. She's got a Circle Wellness event coming up where people will be able to get a free biometric screening, get their blood taken, get all that stuff done. They fill out a short questionnaire. They get $150 checked to their mailbox from our insurance carrier. So we've done that. We also made a small change in our dental this year. We did bid out our dental, made a small change in our dental this year. Dental cost us roughly $15,000 a year or $20,000 a year, and we saved $5,000 a year to the city. In that, we were actually also able to save our employees that had spouse, children, or family coverage money. And one of the things we did is dropped adult orthodontia, just dropping adult orthodontia from the program. And we've had that conversation with all of our department heads. Everybody was aware and on board with us doing that. But we saved the city money and we saved our employees money. These are the proposed budget additions that you saw. I will tell you, Keith just hung up with the computer folks. I had Chris at SysLogic, that's our IT people, do some research for me. Chris believed it was $29,000 up front and then $7,700 per year. Keith called them while we were doing our interview. It is either or. We can either pay $29,970 up front, we get a 3-year warranty, or we can do a 4-year refresh program, which is $7,770 per year for 4 years, or for all of time, basically. You don't ever really own the equipment. You lease the equipment from them, and then at year 4, they replace it, and you keep paying $7,770, right? So a longer-term expense. That's a decision council has to make. I'm just telling you that's the one that I know we have a little bit of change in. We added safety equipment for animal control, dart gun. We added iPads, apparatus for the fire trucks. We've talked about that. Police department generator contract. Joey was the person that maintained it just because Joey had that skill set. Joey's no longer here, so we need to hire a third party to do that. We added patrol car computers. I want to also clarify, in 2018, the city purchased air cards and computers for police cars. Those are in cars and they use them. I said they did not, they do, they are in the cars, they use them, they've hit their, I'm good for time limit. I mean, they're not really good for much longer than 5 years, just the wear and tear they take. Stop the bleed and first aid equipment for police. This puts actual first aid equipment in their cars. They do not have that today. So if they went up to a wreck, EMS would have to get there in order for them to help. An administrative vehicle for police. This one I put in, we had talked about the potential to maybe get a used vehicle. I did some searching. I could go to CarMax today, buy a 2023 or 2024 Dodge Durango with 8,000 miles for about $30,000. So that's what I based that number off of. And then also additional funding for Humane Society of Cedar Creek Lake contract. I have emailed them twice about their current contract rate. Are they raising it? And I have not heard from them, so I'm going to assume our contract will be $50,000 again because they're not returning my emails. This will just allow us to prepare better to take more dogs. I'll be honest, since we've had that conversation, we have started getting billed for dog overages. We did not ever get billed for dog overages before.
We brought it to their attention.
We now are being billed for dog overages. So you do with that what you want. Mickey and I have talked a lot about this. It is what it is, but I do believe we need to plan just in case, and that way we're not blindsided. But we had never been billed for a dog overage, and 1 month we took like 18 dogs.
But they're still doing the 3-month average or whatever.
They
If you
are
take
still doing the 3-month
less.
average, and then but yeah. So, and then grant funding. So as you all know, we have secured a $300,000 general land office grant that will conduct a drainage study and zoning improvements. What that drainage study allows us to do is better understand our drainage problems and be ready when FEMA has money available. So with FEMA, if you already have the plan in your hand and FEMA announces they have drainage, we partner with one of our third parties like GrantWorks or Trailer and Associates and say, here's our plan, here's what we need, and our opportunity to get money highly increases. Because we have the plan in place and it is a professional plan and we're ready. The other thing that grant will do is a zoning study and begin to update our zoning. Because we have 70 zones. Like we have R1, but then we have like R4 and R4A, and R6 has like A through D. So that will begin to update our zoning as well. Yes, Jay?
Does this address the 155.4 issues that we're having on every commercial construction that we have? Because remember, we were trying to get grant money to address the land use ordinances.
This will help with that. Yes, because we're going to understand better where our drainage is. It does not necessarily rewrite our drainage ordinance. Necessarily. It could, but it will help us in that process, yes. But it does, the land use, this helps us rewrite the zoning for sure. So it's not necessarily a building standard, but it will give us a drainage map, which will help our engineering team be better at applying our current ordinances, I think. We have done the kickoff just based on the workload for GrantWorks. They've had a significant amount of turnover. We don't expect a project kickoff until winter, spring of 2026. So probably January, February, March. And then we have Colby McBride has been serving as our interim fire chief, and he is killing it, man. He's up there training. If you haven't been by the helipad, you should. We had the new fence installed. The guys power washed it. They are about to paint the new cross on it. They've moved the power. The helipad looks brand new. I can show you pictures. The difference is this. It is that much of a difference in just them power washing. Jason started it last weekend while they were all there hanging around, so they finished it up early this week, and then they're going to paint the new cross on it so everybody knows what it is. So it'll look top notch. We were able to do that fence for $10,000. It took a long time, but it's done, and they did an amazing job, and it looks great. We have it the size we need it to be, so we dropped it in half. We went from 200 by 200 to 100 by 100 after a lot of questions. I now know who to call at Children's that has the biggest hospital in the state. We also have a potential $75,000 forestry grant coming. It's a combination of 3 grants. It's not one $75,000 grant. It's 3 grants, one for PPE for firemen, one for safety equipment for firemen, and one for something else. But it all kind of centers around that safety equipment. So while we left $11,000 in their PPE budget. It will have a match of $7,500. We didn't want to take all their money out in hopes we get this and then not have any money, right? 11,000 is kind of what they had. We had opted to add another 3. We took that off the list. We believe they're going to get this grant. We've gotten grants from them before. They purchased one of our trucks. They purchased, I believe, our assistant chief's truck is who that forestry, or is that?
That was ETC. That was EMS.
There's something they gave us while Joey was here. I don't remember. But then we have some options with that, right? If we had to have more money, we can always come back. But knowing that there is some idea that we're going to get this grant, we kind of did that. And then just a little insight for you all. We've had a lot of conversations around, what's everybody's future here. And Brittany has really killed what she's doing. She's now ready to kind of step out of her permitting role. She's still played a big part in permitting and pushed that off. And so on Monday, I was up front working with Brittany, and I do that a lot with our staff. But we were up there working together, and she said, "Hey, what does it take to write grants?" And I said, "Well, I go to training." Right? I mean, that's what you do. You go to training and you get help from ChatGPT and you figure out what our story is and you look every day what grants are out there. And she said, "I want to learn to do that." And I said, "Are you ready? Are you comfortable enough in your planner job to take that on?" And she said, "Please, I'm ready." And I said, "Okay." So she has a planning class at the end of September. Once she gets back from that, which will help her even more with land use, then we will start making that transition to her also going to some grant writing, get her access. We have all this behind the scenes things she needs to do that. But that way we will be able to get her started looking for other grants. And she's super excited about the opportunity, man. She's like a little sponge. She wants to learn so bad.
I thought you told us before several times that her plate's pretty full.
I did.
How
I
is
did.
that?
I think being able to dump off some of that permitting stuff to Lauren, now that Lauren's fully trained, I better understand how much of permitting Brittany's still doing. And so being able to transition that more to Lauren, she feels like she now has a good enough grasp if she could get some of the projects she's gotten through, and she's willing to take that on. And all we can do is let her try it and set her up for success. If she believes she's ready to try that, then I'm happy to. I did tell you that. That was my plan all along, was to have Brittany and Brooke kind of take that on. But my fear was I don't want to overload somebody new in their position. But we weren't even talking about grants. She just said, "Hey, if I wanted to learn how to write grants, how would I do that?" And I was like, "Do you have a desire to do that? Like, do you have the capacity to do that?" And she said, "I finally feel like for the first time, yes. Lauren is now trained and ready. We can hand off permitting, all of permitting to Lauren. I can clearly delineate what is my planner role, and then I could start to look for some grants." And I said, "Okay, great. Let's find class." So she and I looked up classes real quick, and it's a day Zoom class. And so she's super excited about that. So we're going to give her a shot, and then we'll go from there. But that does give us that ability. And then what do I need from council today? Are there any concerns with this as presented? Mickey and I are happy to answer questions. This is the first city I've ever worked in, and I nearly had a heart attack. Mickey will tell you, she could probably think back to this, when I realized we give council a line item budget. Council typically doesn't even see a line item budget, right? They see salaries, they see contracts, they see maintenance, and then your department heads manage their dollars. Because sometimes department heads make decisions for 100 reasons. And so the fact that here you do that is very unusual. It's normally grouped. There'll be a administration budget, there'll be salaries, there'll be contractual, there'll be maintenance, there'll be supplies, and then there's a total, and then it's up to the department head to stay within that. And that's part of what you hire me to do, is make sure they can, right? Make sure they have the tools. But I'll tell you that we've had some deep conversations. If you have $13,000 in office supplies, what are you using it for, right? Who needs that many picks? We have to be cognizant of our spending, just like every other single person does, right? During COVID, those things tend to skyrocket. We got lots of money, so we do this and we do this. And so we've spent the last couple of years having hard conversations about that and trying to get us back in a box. What'd you spend last year? What'd you spend this year? If our cars are in better shape and we have less maintenance, why are we still putting $15,000 that we had when we had 2016 cars? So what concerns or questions do you have? Mickey and I will do our best. Otherwise, we'll keep a running list and try to get you answers. Would council, and I'll leave the screen up, would council like to use some of those excess reserves to allocate some additional one-time funding, additional training for a department, additional supplies or equipment for a department, additional one-time maintenance or contractual dollars? You gotta remember, those are one-time, they fall off at the end of the year. If they don't spend them, it goes right back into the reserves. Or Jay had mentioned the potential to pay out some standing debt, so I wanted to make sure that that was included, right? How much debt are we carrying and that, so I got those numbers, Jay. And then, can we gain consensus on the budget as discussed, or do we need another workshop before the August meeting? So, that's Angie's spill.
Well, first I wanted to say that at the last meeting, we had a list of wants and needs that was provided to us. And normally,
I thought I put those in your box with the first draft of the budget.
no, I'm just saying,
okay.
last time we had a workshop, you provided us with a list of needs and wants.
Yes.
What I was trying to say.
I'm sorry.
Maybe I missed
Sorry,
said
yeah,
that.
sorry.
Anyway, so, and usually, this is different for me too, usually, they come to us and say, you have X number of dollars, here's your wants, here's your needs, and then we pick, what we want from that, equaling that money. So this one was a little bit different the second time, but anyway, we only they came to us with $1,000 or $1,700 to spend with all these wants and needs. And I guess I made a comment that offended some people, that I said, find me some money and I'll spend it. So I didn't mean to offend anybody. That's a fact. I mean, you had to find me money so I could figure out where to spend it, not frivolously, not on things we shouldn't spend it on.
On our needs.
But yes,
On
and I
our
couldn't
needs.
spend any money on any needs we had because we had no money to put over there. So I just wanted to clear the air. If I offended anyone, that was never my intent to do that. So I just wanted to clear that. And I have not had a good chance to go over the new revised budget, so I apologize when I have to go through this one because I don't have enough time to go through what changes you might have made on this new one yet.
I can tell you, we made a couple of changes. We amended, Mickey help me, we amended the 14,000 to 94,000, right? And Social Security and Medicare, caught up. We amended the community center salaries. They were a little higher than they should have been, so Mickey fixed that.
We took out that 3,000.
We took out the 3,000 additional for fire PPE, believing that we would get that grant.
We took the part-time, the full-time.
Part-time,
position back to
full-time, park staff off the list. That was initially included in the budget we sent you, and we removed it. We just can't afford it right now.
And I played with the workers' comp numbers.
Yeah, we made sure the workers' comp numbers were right. So they seemed a little low for me as we went, again, y'all have to understand. Mickey and I went back and looked at every square again, right? Because you find one mistake, you start making sure. So we had to adjust some workman's comp stuff, so we went back and looked at that and made sure that number was correct. So some of them were a little hit or miss. So if you look under each budget, there is every department, doesn't matter what department, there is a workman's compensation. And so Mickey went back to make sure that those numbers were correct. They seemed a little low for me, but we made sure that they were all correct. So she checked every one of those. That is the only difference in the budget you have in front of you and the budget that was presented on August the 1st.
Right, there's lots of, like differentials when, I didn't have, which would have been the year-to-date, I'm not saying I couldn't have got it, it's on the website, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But when I first went through here, I was looking at, there's the actual 22 to 23, 23 to 24, I budgeted 24, 25, and then I budgeted 25, 26, and there's a lot that have some large differences. So you gotta ask why.
Yep.
For example, on legal fees under administration, I mean, we paid out 51,000, 35,000, now you're taking me to 26. How's that?
Yeah.
So my only guess would be to go back to what we have done year to date.
Yeah.
Like if you look at that, it is 27,000. So again, 26 I think is a little conservative. I don't know why you're anticipating such a lower amount than even what we spent, and we're not even done with the year yet.
Yeah.
So
as your city manager, that's kind of where I have to work with your department heads and look at it, right? I have more experience under my belt today. I'm calling the attorney a lot less, right? We are sometimes using those resources less just because there's better experience at the table.
We've cleaned up some
So
things. I'm
you've cleaned
sure.
up a lot of things. A lot of that work that he has had to do, we don't have those big legal issues, right?
Right.
And so that's where my role and your department head roles come in to make sure, and they have seen every one of these budgets and signed off on them, can they operate within that? Maintenance of autos is another one, right? Maintenance of autos was still at what it was when we had 2016 Chargers. Well, now we have one car we really have to worry about. It's a 2020 Durango that we have continuing ongoing problems with. And so we know that we can look at that. Fire equipment. Colby has done a lot of work in bringing our fire equipment up to date. You'll know we just had to completely rebuild one engine, but he's in the process of redoing piping and doing some of those things. So some of those costs decrease as that goes. So that's how those decisions are made. Are they perfect? Probably not. It, again, is a guess. We could have one legal lawsuit where Blake burned through $20,000.
Oh, and I understand
But,
that.
you know,
and
that is why those line item budgets are the way
Well,
they
like
are.
you, but I want to make sure we set ourselves up for
Yeah.
success. I'm saying y'all not, but like credit card fees, we paid 8,000, 7,500. We're over almost 5,500
Yeah.
this year, and now we put 3,500.
We don't do
Why?
credit card fees anymore. They're all managed online by the MyGov, by the software programs we use, and that goes directly to them.
We don't be paying anymore. So we paid 5,500. That was
Yep.
just before that change was
Yep.
taking place.
Yep.
And
And
before we also, implemented that it system. says credit card fees.
But it's
I think
also your,
direct deposit.
yeah, direct
fees.
deposit, which is why it's so low now, which is why, because we no longer handle credit card fees. MyGov manages it, it goes directly to them, they take their fee off the top. The software for the rec center will take their fee off the top. We left 3,500 because that's direct deposit fees.
And y'all better jump in anytime you want, because I got a list.
So I'm waiting to finish.
Well, no, I mean, it's like, I'm just saying, because I go to the next one. Why is this? Why is that that? So,
questions.
so I mean, if you want to, I just asked this, it said under administration fees basis, other public relations, it says 2025, 2026, move 10,000 to festival fund for local events. It's
So if you look at we have completely reworked the festival
kinda
fund
saw
budget.
that. Mhm.
And so there used to be things that got paid out of administration for events.
Okay.
We now have realigned the festival fund budget because we have a person in that position that needs to know what she can spend on every event. So a little came from here and a little came from there. So now we have realigned that. So instead of taking 21.6 out of admin, we're now taking 10 and moving it to the festival fund. And then we've reallocated, we've added some revenues to that from renting booths. We reallocated some of our hotel motel money that can be better spent. So we completely reworked that festival fund budget to set Brooke up for success. What I didn't add, and not everybody knows this, Brooke told me this today, Brooke is going to help us kick our community center off the ground. So we're gonna hold off, so there is some cost savings in our community center full-time person. We're gonna hire a part-time person because I have to have that. Brooke can't spend 30 hours a week or whatever at the community center. But being a community engagement coordinator and being a recreation person are very much aligned. And we've been working on this for a couple weeks, almost a month now. And I had the conversation with Brooke earlier in the week. And Brooke came to me this morning and said that was something she's definitely interested in. So I don't know how her first meeting went with the construction today. I was like, go start attending construction meetings so you know where all the skeletons are, right? So, but she's gonna help us bridge that gap. It's a growth opportunity for her, just like grants are for Brittany. Y'all, when they tell me they're ready, I'm gonna throw them out there.
I'm pretty excited
I
about
got a rope, I got a net, I'm not gonna let them sink, I'll promise you. But the more people we're at, the more people that are reporting directly to me, I'm running out of daylight. and it was a concern, and Nikki and I were talking about it. Nikki's like, did you think about this? And I was like, actually, no, but that's a great thought. Let me sit down and talk to Brooke, and that's a great, then we can kind of postpone hiring the full-time position into the community
So
center,
she's
so I know
gonna
what I
help
need.
out fill that hole.
So she's gonna
Take away
help
from
kind of
that
bridge
the
that
money for the
gap,
full-
get a part-time person, start
Thank
getting
you.
some policies done. She's super excited, right? It's a huge growth position for her. She'll eventually have staff to oversee instead of it just being Brooke. And y'all, Brooke's been through 12 positions since she started here, I think 5. I don't know, a lot. She didn't have a title when I started. So it's a great opportunity for her. She did that, right? Brooke, as a kid, oversaw people over at the movie theater. So, you know, it's a great. She's got a lot of things to learn. But you know, when they come to me and say, "Hey, boss, put me in, coach," I'm like, "You got it. Better put the uniform on." So So we're gonna have some cost savings there, but I wanna leave it like it is for now, and then we'll work through it.
If I said that was actually gonna be a recommendation, because I knew that she was over the community,
Yeah.
with her liaison
Yeah,
position.
that's something we've had in our pocket for about a month, and just with July Fest, I was like, if I go in there, she will, I scared there for a little bit. So yesterday when we met, I said, hey, I want you to think about this, and she was like, oh, I actually was already kind of looking at that, and so.
Well, thanks, Brooke, I appreciate that. I think that's a great thing.
I'm excited. I'm super excited for her, and I'm excited for us because Brooke gets it. Y'all, I got lucky with Brooke and everybody. I got everybody on my team, and they have dug deep to make sure that they can do what they need to do. Instead of hiring contractors to do tear downs, our staff is doing some of that. So we're taking the equipment we already have and the people we already have, and I'm asking hard questions. Mike doesn't always love me when I say, what's this person doing right now? I don't want them working on that. Take that to the damn lawnmower shop and go clean up this, we're looking at all of that. And it's so much fun for me because you get to start seeing things take shape, right? And these department heads, all of our staff, but the department heads specifically, have gotten on the roller coaster with me and agreed to hang on for dear life and do what's best for Gun Barrel. And that's
Well,
all you can ask.
And
That's literally all you can
And I
ask.
want to say, because I've beat this drum before, but I know we have people that have said, well, this doesn't work, this program with staff doesn't work, and this isn't effective, and all this other nonsense.
It's not
Well,
perfect.
but the stuff that we have, and the way we have done things has not enabled anybody, it has empowered people within our own four walls to be the best they can be. And so those step rates and all that stuff, you see the added benefit of investing in your staff and believing in them and empowering them and giving them the leadership opportunity and then letting them run with it, what that does for you.
And I made a comment about the 4-day work week at the last meeting, and it was misinterpreted times 100, and it is what it is, but our staff has taken that and been very successful.
Yes.
I have had not one complaint from a customer that needed to do business with the city that they couldn't do it because someone wasn't here. They have doubled up, they've learned about their jobs. If you need me on a Friday, am I gonna answer the phone? I'm the city manager, absolutely. If I need Mickey on a Friday and that's Mickey's day off, and is she gonna answer her phone? 100%, she is my city treasurer. That's part of what we do when we take on a salary jobs, right?
Maybe not on the first train.
But Mickey gonna say at 3:00 on Wednesday, Angie, I have a doctor's appointment, I gotta run do that, right? That's part of what being a salaried position is. So when I made the say, if I need Mickey on her day off, she's gonna be here, that doesn't mean that system doesn't work. We work it out because as a salary employee, you get paid your salary whether you work 1 hour or 70 hours. And there are a lot of odd weeks we work way more than we should. But for every employee, and specifically for our hourly employees, it has been a huge boost to morale. Now, they agreed to do that. That doesn't help their retirement. That doesn't help their paycheck. That doesn't help those things. They're working 9-hour days instead of 8-hour days. All we gave them was 4 hours. We didn't give them a whole day. We did a modified schedule. I want to be crystal clear. We did not give them an 8-hour day. They are working longer days in hotter times, and they're working harder. But a salaried employee, if I need them, is going to be available just like I'm available to y'all on a Saturday. If you get this giant brainstorm, you got to talk about it. So I want to be clear that it's not that if I need them, it's not a broken system. It works really, really well. But if we need somebody and we have to call them in, we flex out that time somewhere else. So,
I got a question.
yeah,
All right, on this proposed budget additions,
yep,
76,252, one-step pay increase,
yep.
is that every month or for the year?
That's for the year. That is 1 year. That is every employee who has been here over 12 months on October the 1st. And that also includes all of their benefits. There was a day when I said to Mickey, we had $1,000, and I said, what would it cost for raises if I don't get one? And today, I would lay my raise on the table if that $5,000 would make a huge increase to anybody else's budget and what they needed or
That's the
wanted.
total cost to the
That
city.
is the total cost
76,
to the
whatever, for the
city
year.
is $76,252 to give everybody one step.
Is that a salary number?
Yeah,
Does that make
that's
sense?
salary and benefits.
Salary and benefits.
And that would be a recurring cost every year.
And that is built into this. So I have built that into this budget. And yes, next year, so, you know, if one step is what you guys want to do, that would be, you know, so, but that would go forward, that carries forward. But,
Yeah, it does.
Can you, I know this is, and I'm not questioning
No,
this, I just
no,
wanna know what
okay.
this is. What is
What?
a service incentive pay? I just wanna know what it is.
so employees
Not
are
complaining about it.
paid
$10 a month.
$10 per month for every month they work for the city.
Oh.
And it is done right before Thanksgiving, so that they could Black Friday shop with that money.
So once
for-
a year, $10
once
a
it's
month, but it's
one-
only one time.
It's one time, it's paid with the second paycheck in the first,
The last
The-
paycheck in
the
November.
It's kind of a
second
bonus kind of
paycheck-
thing, based on your
it is,
time
it's
here.
based on your
That's
time.
fine, I just didn't know, I know everybody
No,
gets it,
that's
and I'm
fine.
okay with that, I just
No.
didn't know what it was. I don't wanna think I'm trying to take anything away.
hey guys, we gotta have one conversation just so everybody can hear.
It tops
Sorry.
out at 3,000.
Okay, I just didn't know what that was, I know it's on every
Okay.
one of them, none of
I'm sorry,
not-
Rita.
I'm not, I mean, I'm okay with it, I just didn't know what it
Oh, okay, okay. I didn't know if you had a question.
What'd she say?
She said I'm telling him to be quiet.
I didn't say a word.
It's okay.
Are you, can I speak for a
Go
minute?
ahead, yeah, go, yes.
I have punched the numbers, and I just think the public and everybody on this council needs to understand this,
Yeah.
okay? We have, I think, how many, 52, 53, 54 employees now?
55, I think is
55
what the county
employees.
district.
Okay, and we're gonna cut 7.4% this year out of operations, which is asphalt.
No, that was last year. I think this year it was less than 1%. Last year we cut 7.4. I
We're
think
not cutting anything out of operations?
it was about less than 1% when it was all said and done that
Okay,
we cut
but
this
I thought
year.
it was in the opening letter that you.
7.4% last year,
Okay.
before last year's budget. And this year it says for the 2025 budget, which is this budget we're in right now, the team decreased operating expenses over 7.4%.
That's what I'm asking. So
Prior to adding any new requests to this budget that you see here, they again reduced it, but it was like 0.36 or 0.4%. It was a
we cut
very
little bit
small
off.
percentage.
But here's what I'm getting at. We have a budget of 5 million, whatever, and $5,671,004 roughly, and then we're taking out our payroll. That's all employees, including benefits, okay? Because you gotta add the benefits to the $3,163,322 with benefits, and I can only average that. But when I average that, okay, some of it's 35, some of them are 25, but when you take an average of 28.6%, which is what the insurance, are matching their social security, their retirement, all that kind of stuff, it adds 28.6% to their paycheck, okay? It's coming out of our budget. When you add all those numbers up and you subtract them out, okay, that comes to $4,071,195.42. And when you do that, and then you take the number of employees and you divide it all the way across the board, from the guy mowing the grass to the guy to the highest employee in town, okay? And you just average it out, just say, we've got 55 people, and you divide that number out. Our employees with benefits, every employee in this town is making $72,699.92. Averaged, okay? That's with the benefits that we're offering. I wish we could give them another 10,000, okay? But when you only have a $1.5 million or what was my number? It's about $1.5 million, $1,599,800 and something dollars. That's for every tank of gas, every bit of asphalt, everything that we need, paint, weed eaters, whatever. That's all we get. So we're paying $4 million of it to the salaries and 1.5. When you take that average
and I go to opengovernment.com. Municipalities as a service business should be conscious of their personal cost. In most cities, it should run 54% of the general fund. And we are at now 71.79%, and it's real close. So we're shooting real close to 71% of our total income that comes into our city goes to employees. I wish we could give them more, but we have a fixed revenue stream, and there's a lot of things falling off, and it's just something. I'll give you a prime example. I know you can't compare apples to apples. I have a cousin that's mayor of a town, a little bit bigger than this. No, I shouldn't say. He's a little smaller than this town, and he is the county seat. The population is around 5,000. Okay? Their salaries and benefits to all their employees, and he has 38 employees, by the way, in their city. They have 55% of their salaries, 55% of their budget goes to salary and benefits. Okay? Now I want to tell you, they do have an ad valorem tax, by the way, because they don't have a Lowe's and a Walmart, and they have more of a fixed budget. But here's the deal, their budget is a little over $4 million budget, okay? But I want to tell you, they have an animal control. They have their own electric company. They have employees that go up and change transformers, put fuses in. That's part of the deal. They have a water department and a maintenance department. They have a sewer department and a maintenance department. They have their own landfill, and they have their own garbage truck. They pick up all the garbage and charge a fee. It's just kind of offset. They have a parks. They have courts, treasurer, secretary courts, building maintenance, street, police, fire, and administrative costs, just like we do. And theirs is 55, and they have 38 employees, and their 55% of their budget is employees to benefits.
Where is this town located?
The town is called Tulia, Texas.
Where is it at?
It's right in between Amarillo and Lubbock, Texas, right in the middle of the heart of the Panhandle. Now, I understand. I'm not.
Location matters.
Okay,
Location matters a lot.
That's what I said. I'm not comparing apples. I'm just trying to use. This is a very conservative budget. They have millions of dollars in the bank because they're very conservative. But I just wanted to bring something to your attention, or in this deal, to explain. And I'm not saying this.
I do want to make one comment, because what I don't want to get into the public is our average employee makes $70,000, because that is not
That's
fair.
not true.
So,
It is true.
so
Well,
if
no,
you
you're
take them
saying if
off,
you average
Someone, by the
Sorry.
way
Yeah,
you're
if you
saying
average
that,
it,
when the
hold on.
public hears that, they're gonna misconstrue.
they will, and
They're gonna
that's,
misconstrue that we're paying everybody over $70,000 a year,
And
and
they're
that
not.
is not
So-
true. We understand what you were
Yeah,
explaining,
yeah.
what you were trying to get to, but if somebody else hears that,
so for some perspective,
Okay, I understand,
Our-
and it is an average. Okay.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
point,
I get
the
it,
point
Jay,
I'm trying to get
100%.
across is if we keep doing this and making the raises, it's gonna, and if our revenue streams, if we live on expectations and not overall forecasting, we're eventually gonna get to the point that we're not gonna have enough asphalt to put in the potholes.
Yeah,
Well,
but
hold
let's
on.
remember, you and I had this conversation the other day, okay? We're hiring a new EDC director, okay? We have a lot of opportunity here. We have 2 new businesses coming in via Retail Coach. We have Pier 334. We have a lot of opportunity here that we haven't even reached yet. We can't just keep looking at a $5.6 million and go, that's all we're ever gonna have.
all of
That's
that
not
is
all
gonna
we're ever.
increase
I understand, but that's
our
the
sales tax
expectation.
base.
No, I understand, but I will say this too, okay? If our budget was $15 million, if you don't have the right staff administering those services, that, you know what that 15 million means to all the public? You know what it means to the public? When no one's answering the phones, no one's doing code enforcement, the police aren't administering calls the way they should. No, I was told, do I have to speak louder? Animal control isn't doing what they're supposed to. You know, we're not getting all the services that we need. Well, then that's what happens. Then the public gets outraged. So you have,
You're
your
killing
most
Rita.
precious commodity, and you know this, you're a business owner. What is your most precious commodity in any business?
Your employees.
Personnel. That's gonna be your highest cost, always. It
But
just
when I'm
is.
trying to
And
tell
I
you,
will say this, unique, Gun Barrel is in a bit, if you care what I think, Gun Barrel is in a bit of a unique situation where we have a lot of employees that have been here a while. That increases your personnel costs. If all my employees were brand new, they're lower, they're cheaper, right? Let's just be honest. Nikki's a hell of a lot cheaper at 68 than she is at her salary, but look at the experience I'm getting with that. 8 years, 20 years. You know, when you look around the room, not Keith, he's new, but or Brooke, she's new, but when you look at the room as a whole, Shannon, 8 years. Mike, how many years has Mike been here? So when you look at their time, that also, we may have closed. That also raises your percentage. Oh, Kelly, that may also raise your percentage, right? So you got to think about that. It's just some perspective you got to think about, and when you look at that.
I'm just looking at
I wanna say what Jay said. I don't know, Joe. Jay, I mean, he brought some good information.
Yeah.
You know, it really is. And you did compare it to one town, and I
Yeah.
appreciate that. For me, and then I don't know, I need another comparison. You know what I'm trying to say? I mean, because I think that
It
you
is.
asked
I looked at it as-
previously
yeah.
to
I sent that
Angie
to you
about
yesterday.
what percentage of our pay is employees, and she gave you that percentage. She also gave us a number that says that this is normal. I don't know. I mean, and I know that you looked at your family member's city or that person that you know, because you talked to them. But my thought was, let's get a second one. Where's somebody else? Because maybe they're lean, maybe they're
Yeah.
new, maybe they don't. I mean, they have a lot
I
of
pulled
certain
up
things,
in
but
this-
maybe
yeah.
they don't have as many police calls. I don't know how many
Yeah.
police officers they have. I mean, there's so many factors that comes to running a city.
that's why we got opengovernment.com, and they
Mhm.
said an average is 54%, and that's right, we're on
Yeah,
target.
and see, I don't know
I
that.
pulled
for
up-
cities and
I
townships,
pulled
though.
up,
No.
But that doesn't matter.
I
mean,
pulled up
just payroll
5
No matter
cities
where you get it.
yesterday. I was not gonna do math. I don't have the capacity in me to take their budget and try to figure it out.
Kelly.
Thank you.
You okay?
You okay?
Oh, no.
You okay? You okay? You okay? Check on Kelly.
Oh,
I pulled up 5 cities yesterday. I could, out 3 of them had it called out in their budget because I didn't have the capacity to do math. Nikki and I spent 10 hours on this yesterday. So Ennis was at 75. And this was last year's budget. Again, they're all given raises this year. Ennis, I think I sent y'all the updated figures yesterday, exactly what it was in the email. Jay had asked, and so in my role of sending it to everybody, Ennis was at 75. Rowlett was either 68 or 72. There were different numbers in different places. Rockwall didn't have it in their budget. Corsicana didn't have it in their budget in Athens. I pulled up cities that are right around us because that's who we're competing with, right? And that's what I looked up. But that's last year, we just did salaries last year. That's what most people do is just salaries. But we pulled up the benefits yesterday, and Nikki pulled all salary and benefits. So,
Well, here's what I want to
and
say
we
too.
also they only pay $25 for their insurance here. We eat the rest of that. That is a huge benefit,
That's a huge cost.
right? So some cities, I used this maybe with Jay yesterday when we were talking. I paid $400 for employee-only insurance in Rowlett. So, it's perspective, but it's part of that benefit package. Jay's not wrong. It is something we 100% have to watch. But it's this, you have to think about it in the big perspective of things. And we don't need to run out of asphalt. There's no question about that. We don't need to run out of gas.
But isn't asphalt, I'm just asking, streets have a separate, don't they get like a 1%
They have, and that's
a
the
half
other thing that
so they
we
get like,
don't
that's not
even
even,
take into
yeah, because
consideration.
that is separate.
Yeah.
No, that's to do a big section. I'm talking
Yeah.
about during the
Right.
day-to-day operation.
I don't know if we add to that
Yes.
or,
Yes.
because I think there is something in here for asphalt or whatever. It's just like,
It's street equipment, street supplies.
Maintenance and repairs of streets. You
Yeah.
can't build new streets with it, you can maintain what you have.
Yeah, but I guess he was talking about potholes instead
But
of
I'll say
instead of
this,
redoing a hose.
with
like
having
redoing
someone
it.
that comes on board that is able to write grants, once you
We can
get
help
that,
offset
now
that.
you can reallocate money that you might have to
I
do.
agree.
You see what I'm saying?
I agree.
Yeah.
I have
He's
no
just-
problem
Yeah.
with that.
No, it's great
But
information.
that, to me, that's expectations. We don't have it yet. I want to live within the budget we have. and I don't want it to get out of line.
I know, but I
for the
just
next-
don't want to present it. I'm not arguing with your preface at all. You're 100%. But we don't need to put it out there like that because we know how people will take that and run with that the wrong way. And they think the guy we got out there on the zero turns making $72,000.
He's making 36, so,
They're making 36, but I'm just average.
yeah, yeah.
I would
No,
just don't
I
want the
understood.
people to think bad about it, something like that.
Well, getting back to the budget,
Yep.
I mean, I thought that we need to take things, we need to think about that, and we don't need to, we need to think about that. But, is in the police budget tasers, did I miss that? I mean,
We received a donation for tasers. That was on your big sheet, so, the need want that was in your
Yeah,
first
I know we
draft.
talked about it.
I scratched them, I gave y'all an
I
updated
don't
copy.
get that.
I didn't either.
It's not in my,
I swear it was in, it was
Oh, it was
sideways
from our
in
first-
your,
I got the first one.
the first one. It was sideways in the
Oh, wait.
first one.
Nope.
I swear it was in there.
I didn't.
The very
Does that one have
So
scratches
is it in
on
my-
it?
is
The
it in our
first
boxes?
one we,
This is the very first one we ever got. There's no,
Can you print that for me?
You didn't put it in the newest one, did you?
No, I
No.
put it in the one, Mickey's gonna print it.
I have one quote
The
to tell
department-
everybody while we're here.
The department want need.
Sam Walton, when I interviewed for him to take over the horticulture for all the Walmarts, I went to Bentonville. And I rode around with him before he died in his old Chevy pickup that had a 3 on the tree.
Wow.
And he said, son, I'd like to hire you. I'd like to offer you the job. This is what it pays. But he says, I'm gonna tell you one important thing and live by this motto. He says, if you count your pennies, the dollars will come naturally.
That's true. It's true.
And that's why
Mickey's gonna-
I'm a very
Well,
conservative
yeah.
individual.
no, so I didn't get an amended
Mickey,
one.
Mickey is going, I thought I put it in your box with the August 1st version because there was some
The
scratch.
first, the first version,
The
the
August 1st version of the proposed
one
budget,
that had the rings in it.
yes, the one that has the
this
rings.
one.
Mickey is gonna print it for you.
I'm not saying it did, but I've
Um,
got a lot of people.
There are some things that were scratched out of their original list. The NAS backup system for City Hall, I was able to buy a $300 hard drive and pay SysLogic $1,200 and accomplish the exact same thing, and we've already done that. So that's done.
Now, didn't the iPads in the fire department, is that right?
Those got, it was either, for police, it was either computers or iPads. iPads are not gonna do what police needs. They
Okay.
need a computer. It is iPads for the fire department are in here. They are
So it's
included.
in here on, under
Yep.
something?
It's on the, they're in there under their system, under wherever it went, computers or
Oh,
whatever.
look at the notes,
Um,
oh, here, over here,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's,
yeah,
it says ESO and HAAS, and I don't know what that is.
yeah. We'll have to ask Mickey. It may be,
So I thought maybe, and I put.
no, I
yeah,
know
maybe
she
that's
put
an
it in there,
iPad.
I just don't know which one, because it's in the budget. Let me, I don't know, I'll have to look.
It's up there, computer right up there.
Yeah.
Well, it's on there, but it's, I mean, this is what I was given here, so I mean, it's in here somewhere. And it might be an E
Up right here,
and S.
5301 under communications,
Oh my
2025,
God, there it is.
2026 to
Sorry.
include iPads. So the 2 computers from court, Grace bought them out of the court technology fund. The tasers, we received a donation of 6, so we took that off. And they got, I guess, some fixed. They've been doing taser training for the last 2 days. If y'all want to be shot with a taser, I'm sure somebody at PD would be happy to do it for you. Just let me know.
sounds like.
you
They
volunteering?
offered to
Yes.
me,
Yeah.
they offered to me,
Taser.
I said, absolutely not, y'all will make me wet my pants. So, the Perry-Weather lightning detection system, I took it off of this list, that is something that Parks Board is considering doing. It is a subscription program, we'll try it for a year and see how it works. If we decide to move forward with it, we decide how we do that, but Parks Board has their funds they need to spend this year, and they're thinking about doing that, some benches and some tennis screens and something else. They'll make that decision on Monday. And then court's office chair, I told her to buy that out of her,
Mhm.
I had a question on
office
the,
supplies.
Yes.
Mickey is
administrative-
printing y'all the updated list.
on that administrative vehicle. I mean, is it just for like a detective to,
Investigator.
just to go,
Well, it's not that simple.
I mean, they're not running, they're
so-
not flying to
It-
a
it's-
call or
well,
it doesn't need to
yes.
be really outfitted?
Yes, it does have to be out. There are certain safety equipment that has to go in every police car. I would never send Ruiz out without safety equipment.
Okay.
But he needs a vehicle that can be outfitted with the equipment. It does not have to be a patrol grade vehicle because he is not patrolling. He 100% will likely have lights, he will have equipment in it, he will have storage space for the things that he carries.
So does the existing car have that?
He has a 2016 Dodge Charger It's
Well, I asked, cause I
outfitted,
got a 2015 F-150
it's
that runs
out,
great.
it's out, it's an old police pursuit vehicle and it
Okay.
is outfitted as such.
Okay, I mean, I just.
Yeah.
If we did need it, I would like to roll it into their salaries and, you know, help.
You don't, okay,
I don't know,
so,
I don't
hold
know.
on, time out. Let me make sure Bobby understands Bobby's first budget.
Yeah, I don't, so sorry if
Those
I'm
items-
overstepping or anything.
Those items on that list are already in the budget.
Okay,
Those things have been budgeted. So those
Okay.
really, unless you wanna take something out, those are included.
Right,
And
what he's saying, let me ask you this first, where's the 30,000 for the truck, is that, what fund is that coming out of? 'Cause he doesn't
Capital
know that.
improvement.
So it's coming out of capital improvement fund,
Okay,
that's
so
a
it's not-
one-time purchase.
Thank
So
you,
you
Okay.
can't
sorry.
use that for salary,
okay.
just
okay.
saying, right there, I'm just
Right,
making
that's-
sure.
that's where we're going.
Sorry.
Yeah, so it's single.
Understand that we have the capital improvement.
Which is
fund,
single use.
Right,
Okay.
and then we have our general fund,
Thank you.
and then we have our hotel motel funds, and each
Thank you.
account, you can only
Sorry,
do certain things.
I
with
could've
those.
sworn, what did I do with the
You can't look
copies?
at the
I saw
total money and allocate it
Not
that
unless I
way.
gave
You
it
have
back
to
to
look
you in
at,
that stack of
Maybe
pages,
this is
because I
how much
never
we
looked
have
through
in
that, I just
capital
found the
What
pages.
does everyone else
these
have?
are the things we can
I
spend.
think everybody
Okay.
brought that copy.
Okay,
I
so-
made copies.
Either, yeah,
Somewhere,
we
not big.
help them out or just put it back in the. Thank you.
Before I get
I just wanna
before
make
I
sure
get to
you-
police
Yeah,
and
yeah,
fire, I haven't got to, I do have a question on the, loan, talking about debt.
Yes,
Okay.
I have that.
So, well, let's talk through quickly, just to see this, I wish these had page numbers, but on the, detailed debt service
Yep.
page, I think that's supposed to say 25, 26 budget at the top, but we have payments for the pumper truck, we got
Yep.
payments for City Hall, but we do not have payments for the fire station or the slope mower, how's why?
So we paid for those
Out of the capital improvement.
out of the capital improvement, and then we were paying ourselves back.
Huh?
We borrowed the money from ourselves,
Okay,
and so we were paying that fund back to build it back up.
So I was like, last year I was like, why are we doing this? Well, we paid it out of that. That's what it's set aside for. So last year we took it out. We talked about taking it out. We took it out, and we took it back out this
I
year.
just, well, again, last year all I did was get this is how much money you got, and this is the want and need, so
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
a menu, I just
Yeah.
picked from, but this
Yeah.
year,
Yeah.
you made me read every line,
So that's why.
So we
so-
will never pay it back, I mean, we're just gonna stop doing
Yeah.
this.
Well, because we paid for it with
We didn't
cash.
decide to.
Yeah.
Well, we have never been talked, I
Yeah.
don't even know if we were talked to about it last time, I just noticed it's not there, and then when you looked at the second page,
Instead of somebody spending it.
Hey, guys, we gotta stay one person.
when
so
we
can
talked
hear.
on the second page, it says that the loan doesn't pay off to 2037, 2031,
Yeah.
so I just didn't
That
know
was
what.
just a loan
And
to
I do
ourselves.
see under the 5-year capital improvement program that I guess we're picking those payments back up next year
That
after.
is just the first draft. I have not finalized that. I've gotta add some stuff. So because this was proposed and what Mickey and I talked about is why I didn't understand, why are we taking current tax dollars to pay off past things you played with tax dollars? Why are we paying ourselves back? I
And with
didn't
interest.
understand. Right, with interest. It didn't make any sense to me. And so last year, we had a very brief conversation about it. We did it, and then I did it again this year. So we've got some updates on that to do, that language, and on that capital improvement.
Okay.
I really need to sit down with the team and say, what is, you getting this is not always, $20,000 is your capital improvement limit, so it's gotta be something over 20,000. You're not gonna buy a mower under a capital improvement plan, right? So, we have to figure that out. And then Mickey pulled, if I can find it, Mickey pulled the debt for me today, the balance on the debt, just so y'all would have that. That's one Jay had asked me about, so it's a great question. The pumper truck, our last payment is this year, right?
2026.
And then as of August 2025, the balance on City Hall was $639,000.
I know they don't have page number 639, I don't know how to tell you then.
The amended one.
Oh, I'm looking at this one. It's under debt service 91.
It's not that easy to add page numbers to
I
Excel
know.
spreadsheets. So Nick and I talked about it, and we nearly did it, and at the last minute, she had already hit print, and I said, it's at the top.
So I'm sorry, the balance on the pumper truck is that 40,000 or whatever we have.
That is our last
This is
payment.
the last payment. And then on the City Hall note here is $639,000.
$639,000. Mickey looked that up for me today.
And that's principal and interest. And these numbers that are listed here, well, that's annual. That's how much we pay annually towards the principal and interest. All right. That's it.
So, I mean, we have the opportunity. Last year, I recommended y'all wait and see where we were mid-year. Don't, but we do have some money there if there is a desire. Kind of what our plan, like, we've got some tear down stuff. We could put some addition, it is one-time money, so it's gonna be for this year. If we wanna put, say, $10,000 into building tear down and have a conversation with Mike to, let's do a push, right? If houses are not in compliance, we're gonna do $10,000 worth of tear downs. We could do that with some of those reserves. But that's what that is, but that's just that's one example.
And I'm sorry I had to ask so many questions, but I just think this stuff makes sense. So Parks Department, because I was saying, since we can't hire full-time
Yep.
staff, we need to stick with part-time. I was just curious on how much was we paid in overtime year-to-date to see if it'd make any sense. And of course, this budget, I know it's only October
Yep.
through June, says that I paid 0 overtime.
Yep.
Which I thought we had talked before, and you told me that we had paid overtime.
So Mike may have been doing flex time. I don't know, Mickey can look and make sure.
They have some overtime in there now, $241.
Yeah,
Well, that's just fine.
yeah.
But I just
Yeah.
want
And
to
they
make sure
may be-
0 seemed a
Mike
little off.
also has been doing some flex times with the guys, right? So like if they can only work 20 hours and they have to work on a Saturday, give them off on Tuesday and let them work on Saturday. So staff as a whole always has to be cognizant of overtime because it can get out of
Mhm.
proportion real quick.
Mhm.
And so I know now they have some in there, because of the baseball tournaments and the baseball stuff,
Yeah,
and
but
we had to come in
250
on a weekend. It's not much, no.
But the health insurance under the Parks Department year-to-date says $9,512 through June, but the budget is $33,000. That's a huge difference. As far as income too, I mean, we got a payroll at $126,000, but only $80,000 year-to-date. Now, we got July, August, September, so we
Yeah.
have 3 months left. But those numbers just,
We can take a closer look at it.
again, I know I
Yeah.
just took it, I mean, you made me go line by line to figure out where the money was, and so,
I said that Jay did.
no, I mean, just saying, because this, usually, again, all I usually see is a
Yeah,
amount of money that I get,
yeah.
that I
Yeah.
can spend, and that I get to choose where to spend it.
and we can look at that. We can take a deeper look at that and see if there's enough in there to
I just
move
want,
that.
here's what I'm gonna be honest with you, what I want to do is, of course, I know I've met, it's the police department, I know that we always have done a lot for them and stuff, but I am being told that they're losing personnel over pay. I know that I've had this conversation with you, you said only one has ever left. I was told no,
Ever.
2, not ever, I'm sorry, in the last 6 months or so.
Recently.
I heard another one had just left, his last day was just last Friday, it was overpaid. It wasn't Matina, it was someone else.
Rutland.
Hmm.
Rutland.
There you go. And so there's 2. And then, I mean, I'm sure they're probably looking to see what we're doing. The only reason I even also is because I know Maybank is starting, I think, at 55. And I'm not saying I can go all the way to 60, but I just didn't know if there was any room. I know that we're on a tight budget too, but but fire too. I saw a lot of cuts, it seems like in police and fire, which, I mean, they are, I guess, the larger budgets, but they are the heart, we have to take care of police and fire.
In the beginning, like you said, if nobody's safe, nobody's gonna come.
Yeah, and I don't think we made cuts. I think we dug deep to look at things to see what are we doing. A huge savings, believe it or not, is when you have a fire chief missing and you have to hire a new one, right? Somebody that's been here a long time, and then you have a brand new one. There's a salary decrease in there. But
I did
you know
see
what?
that.
What we started really looking at is what are we using that equipment on, and how are we using it? They got an increase in communications. They got, from 24 to 25 as I look down through here. But maintenance of auto, we're doing some significant work on our auto right now. So, we sit down with Colby and say, okay, if you rebuild the engine and you replace all these pipes and you bought all new hose, what does that look like for the year coming up? That doesn't mean it's going to be that for all of time. We look at what can we do this year to help us be successful. And yes, there are currently 2. One went to Kemp ISD, one went to another city, and they did, I would argue that the one that went to Kemp ISD also did it because of the schedule that they work. He was a retired officer here, and insurance, but I don't know that to be the case. I know Lutina left because he would make more and he could work less overtime. And he's very sad about it, and I told him yesterday in my office that if he got there, and that's where he came from because he hated it, if he got there and hated it, I knew his chief, and I knew our chief, and I'd put in a good word for him. He was struggling with leaving.
Well, and I know,
Yeah.
and I know that a budget is a budget. It's an outline of things, but I also hear sometimes that when someone gets to a point to exceed their budget, they're told no, and I totally get that. Because if
course.
everybody exceeded their budget,
Yeah.
then, well, we'd be in trouble. So we just wanna make sure that we're setting them up for success. I mean,
Yeah.
the maintenance, and I know that, you
And I
know,
think too, people have to, staff as a whole have to remember, they have to go to their department head. Their department head has to believe in that and want to fight for whatever that is, right? Not everybody comes to me and says, Angie, I need to go do this. Can I spend that $1,000? That is not my job. I have way too many people that report to me already. I have way more than I should. But they're training and they're learning and they're in a good place. So they should be where they are because I want them set up for success. But give you a perfect example, if Paul Lyons needs something in the street, his first stop is Mike. And if Mike doesn't approve that and it never comes up the chain, I'm never going to hear about it. I still believe we need some kind of salary study before we raise salaries individually in departments or individual because it causes compression, right?
well,
You
it's a
guys heard
triple
me say
set. That's what I
this.
call it. So
Y'all-
what's gonna
y'all
happen if
heard
I
me
do
say
that?
this.
Then fire,
If I
and then
move-
where, are they,
I would love
are they
to
where they're
move
supposed to be?
PD,
I don't-
all officers to $60,000. It costs us $91,000 to do that.
But I wasn't quite getting there because I knew we couldn't do
And
that.
No.
if I do that, now my investigator doesn't make enough, and my sergeant doesn't make enough, and my lieutenant doesn't make enough, and my captain, and my chief.
And then your department heads and your other staff.
And then and even just within that department, I have caused how does that all shake out? So that's my challenge with that. I still think we need, even if it's a study, you say, Angie, I want you to go pull every city and what does their pay scale look like for PD and fire? I'm happy to do that. We don't have to hire somebody, but that is a bigger conversation than we're really prepared to have.
Well, that's why I said, well, I did, the police association contacted us, I think some of us
Of course.
have met. And I get there and I said, why are you coming to me now? I feel like we're at the end, it should be the beginning. Well, they said they came to the city, I guess, back earlier in the year and thought, I guess it was already in motion and it didn't happen, and so that's when.
Yeah, they asked for that. They asked for a 10% increase for every employee. They asked to move dispatcher pay. They asked to reclassify the animal control officer. They asked to realign an investigator to create a sergeant investigator. They asked to adjust the captain and lieutenant pay. They originally wanted
Yeah, you'll
significant
never get
money.
it all.
So
There's no way you can make it.
all
I know.
of that was in that original, but again, we are creating a ripple.
And I agree with that. And that's what I said too. What is
That
it that
causes
is power make enough? I don't know what that answer is, but at the same time, we have to have, and I know, and I at least, I mean, you look at our budget, it's a large percentage of our budget, and I get that. I just don't know what the answer is, but we can't just keep being a revolving door for.
Right, the community needs to go, oh, yeah, I know that officer, so, oh,
And
that's a
I'm
good one.
gonna tell
I don't know who
you,
that
and
is.
my
That's
chief
it.
is sitting back there and he may like that I say this or not.
Yeah.
Most of our officers have left because of performance issues, not because, again, two in the last month, because of pay. One, moved to a school district, retired officer, better insurance, better time off, right? They don't work during the summer when school's not in session.
That's what he came from.
And two, Butina, who 100% left for pay that I couldn't have matched if I wanted to. I talked to him about it. What would it cost me to keep you? Because he's an amazing officer. Still has some problems, but he's an amazing officer and a good dude, right? But if they're leaving because of performance issues, then as a whole, my department has to look at their hiring practices. They have to look at their management practices. They have to look at how are we compensating the people that do work for us? How much overtime are we asking from them? Because I would argue that all plays into it. I have 25 years experience doing this. All of that plays into why an officer leaves or why we hire someone, right? So I think that's all things we have to think about.
Well,
I kind of want to go back to what you said about they're told, they come and ask for more money and they're told no, and that is not an entirely true statement. What they're told is, if you can take it out of this line item, you need to go under on this line item.
yeah,
Keith
Yeah.
just came to me a couple of weeks ago and he needed a computer. I didn't tell him no. he got his computer, so that's.
Well, and I get that, and
It's just
and
a
that's an
general
unfair
statement.
statement,
It's
yeah,
just a
it's not
general
anything
statement.
specific.
It's all the time.
And
Yeah.
it's not specific, I mean, I don't know what it actually
Yeah.
was, I mean, you know what I'm saying, but I get that, though, I would see how you'd have
We
to do
have
that,
a
because if you
budget,
don't,
sure.
everybody overspends and then we have no money, I
Yeah.
mean, so I understand that, so, but that's why I take, I think, usually a little bit more seriously, the number that you put in there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying
Of
to say, to
course.
make sure, because, I think I looked at police, training, what do they have, how many officers
Well,
do
they
they have?
also, okay,
I
so,
know they
yeah.
do, but
Yeah.
they have the fundings and
yes,
stuff
they
like
do
that.
have other funding.
And
That
as long
comes
as they
from
have the
TCOL.
resources
Yeah.
to do it, same for fire, I'm sure
Yeah.
that they have training, and I'm assuming they have a fund that they get access to as well, however that works, but I just wanna make sure.
And that's
that-
something Colby and I put together, Keith is in the process of putting together. What are our officers gonna do, right? That's something we haven't ever done a really good job at Gun Barrel. We just say, hey, here's the money, go do what you want, but we have to start saying, what are you gonna spend these dollars on? I asked Colby, how much training dollars do you need? What do you think Colby told me? All of them need to be inspectors, all of them need to be fire marshals, all of them need, and I'm like, whoop, time out, roll it in. Everybody needs to be an inspector, I'll buy that. Everybody doesn't need to review permits. Not every fireman needs to, I need a person that can do that. I need a fire marshal. I need somebody that can do training, sure, let's go to school, but we don't need all 6 of you or 8 of you to do that. We need to make sure we have the right people in the right places. Yes, fire and police have a fund where we are given money. It cannot be all of it. I can't delete all the money out of the city budget and depend on that, but it can supplement it. Fire, in fire's case, only the certified TCOL officer in fire can use that. So once our fire marshal has been through patrol school, they will be able to use that. In Keith's case, it has to supplement. But we also have to be smart about our training. Gun Barrel City can't send 5 people to training, right? This year, I'm the only one going to TML. Why? Because we have to be smarter about how we do this. I need Janet, and I want Janet to be able to go to training that is job specific for her, and learn Nikki. I want Nikki to be able to go to something that GFOAT does. I want Brooke to be able to go to Tamio. We don't all need to go. I'm sending Brittany to specific permit planning training, and then grant training. But not all of us need to go to TML because we have to be cognizant of that. And that's something that we just have to start paying closer attention to.
We're just talking about salary and, of course, I'm on Nextdoor and Facebook. Every city needs an officer. I mean, it's just a job that no one wants.
Every
It
day.
is, it's,
And,
Dispatchers are the
you
same.
put your life on the line out there.
yeah, and then, but Athens has got a lot of openings now. And their salary, some of them is out there, and their insurance summary is out there. But I would just like, you said you could check.
I cannot do that before we have to approve a budget.
Oh, yeah,
That's
I'm not
something
worried about
council's
that.
gonna have to agree we wanna spend some time looking at.
Mhm.
I can't do that tomorrow, there's
Yeah.
no way, it would take hours, cause it's just,
Well,
some
I
of
was
them
thinking
are,
maybe you
some
could
of
do
them I
open
have to call.
records for their
Yeah.
pay scale.
And two, we have to take into consideration what are they doing this year? Because one of our problems in Rowlett is we did a salary study every year. My HR director did, every 5 years, we brought someone in from the outside to do it. Every year, my HR director was Richard Jones, and he did an internal salary study every year. But he did it in April. Well, hell, in August, they approved a new budget.
Yeah.
And everybody got a raise. 3% raise is out of date. So we have to make sure that we have the most recent,
Yeah.
recent of information as we can. What we would do is say, what do you pay and what are you predicting that your raises will be this year?
Well,
And
I
it-
mean, their salary,
Yeah.
their starting pay was online
Yeah,
and all that.
yeah.
That's all.
And some of them, PD's tough, right? Some of them start at 62, but different city size,
Yeah.
different
That's what I was
different
gonna say.
crime rate, all of that pays.
With Athens,
plays into
exactly, for
Yeah,
sure.
all
We
that
talked about
plays
that
into
too, like even with dispatch, the number of calls that we get per day versus someone in Henderson County, and I get it, but then we train them and we get them all set in and then they go to Henderson County.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's what happens.
I mean, you can't help it.
Mhm.
Yep.
Go where they want to go.
Mhm.
Okay.
Well, not to pay for the study, if you, look at it, but again, if
No.
we're not gonna, I don't know if we ever have a chance to come back later, hopefully, maybe the year will be good and we can make some changes later. I don't
And mid-year, you can always come back at mid-year and look at it and say, hey, here's where we are. But, until the reality is you can't spend these these reserve and capital improvement monies on doing that kind of stuff,
No,
right?
you have to cut somewhere else,
You
like.
have to cut somewhere else, something else off that list would have to go because that's ongoing stuff. That's
Right.
ongoing
Well,
costs.
it's just like this, well, it's like the community center. Well, I'm grateful that I guess we have $120,000
It's
annual
a
budget.
hit, it's a huge hit.
Without any, we don't even know what we're doing with it.
Yeah.
I mean, is it, I mean,
Really?
I mean,
Honestly.
you know, so it's just, it's, you know, give and take and moving stuff around, you know, playing the
But
numbers.
the biggest
stuff,
reason we
but-
have that, we cannot lose sight of this.
Mhm.
We,
Emergency
you
preparedness.
have to have an emergency operations center in a city this size. You
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah, you don't have,
I've
it's nice to have,
yeah.
it, but the emergency center's only, has to be open during an
Yeah.
emergency.
I've been
You know
kind of
what I'm saying?
working
So until we
through,
figure out what we're gonna do every day, it's like we open the doors and then what? Who's coming in
I have
every
about
day?
3/4 of the
We gotta figure out what we're gonna do
policies
with
and
that.
procedures done. So I will keep ticking away at those. You know, what hours are we gonna be open? Are we gonna do memberships, a $5 membership? All a $5 membership does is give people a little buy-in in the facility. If you could also open it up for free. I did a $5 membership in this plan so far, but we're in the early stages of that. I hope to have it to you by the next meeting.
But we just
by our
talked
next
about in there,
one-on-one.
like, we're talking EDC stuff, you know, what do families do? Well, I can tell you what they can do now. There'll be, when it's hot, there'll be stuff that you can do inside that facility with
I
kids and
hope so.
stuff like that.
I hope so.
Hey, those, trust me, those are easy to
Yoga
implement.
Well, it's more for
programs.
you because of what you do.
No, but I'm
You-
saying,
you-
but
Yeah.
knowing that, it's, and
Zumba
you gotta remember, that's what her
instructors.
background's in too. I mean,
Zumba
that's,
instructors and yoga instructors.
yeah.
But you also
You'll
just have
find
a
those
morning
people.
where seniors play cards, right? So
Mhm.
you just have that space, but
Yeah,
that
we'll
takes a
fill that
body
bedroom
sitting there.
thing.
And then rentals, that's where your money is. Your
Yeah.
money is not in operating that center.
Yes.
Your,
Rental,
your
renting the
money is
space.
in getting people used to using that space for rentals.
Absolutely.
And that's
then-
just gonna take time.
And I agree with that, because I'm hoping eventually it pays for itself, right? But I do understand that it takes time for those things to develop, but. Sure.
Okay, where do you wanna go from here?
It's the general consensus.
Is my question to you. You have a proposed budget in front of you. It has those things in it.
And each department head has agreed to the budget you have prepared for them.
They have, everyone has seen it. We had a meeting.
And that's just saying.
And if they didn't agree, they told you they didn't agree?
Well, I don't, y'all have to know, like, my style isn't, damn it, this is what we're doing. Sometimes my style is, damn it, this is what we're doing. It's not very often. It is a very collaborative management style because at the end of the day, they're responsible for this. Is it perfect? No. May we have some things that come up? 100%, right? A fire truck broke down this year. We didn't expect to replace an engine. We brought it to y'all and said, hey, we got to do this. This is what it's going to cost. Please, re-up that. We may get mid-year and see, maybe we cut a little too much out of that. We got it, but that's why you do a mid-year budget, right? That's why you look at that mid-year so that
What do
you're
you
prepared.
do if it goes the other way?
Huh?
What do you do if it the other way? Then you go into reserves?
What do you mean?
If we're not making our budget?
I don't,
But
not
that's what
mid-year.
I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Yes, if we got to mid-year and we had undershot significantly, we would either you start ripping employees, laying off employees, or you dip into your reserves.
But at
You'll
that
know
point,
that before mid-year. You're
You,
gonna
I
know
mean,
that.
Mickey and I watch this every month. We watch this like this, right?
I can tell you our sales tax should be at 91%, it's at 93, so we
So-
are right on, we
Yeah.
watch it. And we're gonna know before mid-year if we need to stop spending.
And then it becomes a, hey, you gotta cut back on this, or you gotta cut
what's
back
like
on that.
even the fire
And is it
department?
perfect? No. Does everybody love it? Hell no. I would love to have $20,000 in supplies, and I would love to order cups every year for staff. I would love to have a huge Christmas party for staff. These guys work their butts off. But that's not always possible, right? So when we got ready to budget this year, we knew we overspent last year because I bought everybody the cups. I said, Mickey, we got to figure out $2,500. We got to figure out how to do a party. Now we'll have the community center. We'll be in a bed, but we got to figure out how to do that or get donations to offset it, right? So, is it gonna be perfect? I'm not gonna sit here and tell you it will. If you paid me $400,000, I still wouldn't have a perfect budget. The Dallas city manager doesn't have a perfect budget, but we try to be, we are trying to be conservative. If we need supplies, we're gonna come to council and say we need supplies. Angie's not gonna dip into reserves. That's not my role. My role is, here's what we take in fines, fees, and taxes. Here's what we're gonna budget. Anything else is up to council on how you do that.
I was gonna say, like the fire department, and I know they had that engine you were talking about that we replaced this year for
Yeah.
this. But even still, the past years, they spent 40,000, 60,000, and then this year, it's even more than that, but then we're going down to 40.
Yep.
I mean, we're, you know what I'm saying, so that's kind of,
On maintenance of auto.
on the,
But that's what I'm
That
saying,
was
like
because
right
of that
now,
mid-year adjustment.
that mid-year adjustment, we added money,
we
that's
did,
why,
but we still
but-
spent 60 the year before.
yeah.
And we
But-
spent 40
But
the
then
year
we've
before.
replaced a lot of those
They've,
This is fire
they've,
department.
they've replaced tires, they're
Tire.
rebuilding, they've replaced all the tires on the equipment. So Colby has put a better, I love Joey, new set of eyes. Colby's put a better maintenance plan and schedule, and he says, hey Angie, I can make that work, right? Colby went through this, his biggest concern was was dropping, I had initially dropped, PPE. I had dropped it, he spent 4,500 a year before, I don't know what he spent this year, but he had, and I said, what is that, and what are we buying, and we've up clothing, and he just has been ordering a ton of stuff, so I said, are you gonna need stuff for the next year? I had dropped that to like 9, he went back and said, I really need 11, and I said, okay, and then at the last meeting, we found out about this potential grant that we can now stay on top of, which would be a significant boost, right? And maybe could even reallocate, if you get a $75,000 grant, you only gotta spend $7,500 of that, and we reallocate that to something else in his department, is what we attempt to do, so. But
Grants are
I
big.
want, you guys to be able to, I could go through and tell you why we made every decision we made. This is not something that's flippant for Mickey or I. We spend a lot of time with staff talking about it, and we can
Or
tell you
us.
why. Huh?
It's hard decisions for us.
It is.
Well, it is,
100%.
because I don't want, and we increase in income, which I'm perfectly fine for, you know what I'm saying, but I just don't want us to see that we're cheating, not cheating, but going other places just to make that budget work. I want to make
So
sure
do we
that-
need to go around the table and each individual say whether their consensus is this is something we can live with or no?
And then do you want to add anything else off that need want with the reserve money?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So you were talking, and I was new to the conversation, you were talking earlier about the computer, for the patrol computers,
Yeah,
and it's either one cost or
Yeah.
the other.
yeah.
So if we go with the service agreement, which I think is the smart thing to do, then is that 29 available to go to, for them to move somewhere else?
Yeah, the only problem is you are taking on longer term debt. And that is a council decision you have to make. Do you want to take on $77.70 a year because we're locked in for 4 years? Or do you want to buy the computers up front?
Well, I got a question on that then. So how often does that software go out of date?
Well, it's not that the software goes out of date. Computers are just computers and technology
Okay, but
changes,
it's,
right?
but that,
You have
whatever's not including the
You
software
have
to run it and all
four,
that stuff?
well, that's all included in their software. It's all
Okay.
web-based, right? So you will have 4 years, 5 is gonna be pushing it on any technology that lives in a hot car that gets banged around.
So
So council has to
it's
decide.
almost a wash whether you go
It is.
7,700 a year, but you're getting upgraded.
You are,
And if
What's easier for us to swallow
it
right
is,
now?
and we know that.
Then maybe we wait later when we have more money.
I always
But
want to
they,
make it.
they keep getting their stuff in quality condition.
well, it's not gonna give you new computers every year, right? There's gonna be a cost. If they drop a computer tomorrow, we go with this. We pay $7,700. I wanna be crystal clear that if they drop a computer tomorrow, we're buying a new computer. There is some warranty in there.
Well, 28,000.
And there'll be some warranty dollars.
So if you buy it outright though, there's,
You same thing.
So you're still buying it.
So that's what I want to make sure everybody understands, right? There will be warranties either way, but I don't want you to agree to $77.70 and a car get in a crash and a computer gets smushed in that process, and you're like, well, hey, guys, we get another computer. That is not how that works. So we do get some discounts on some things. These will retrofit, I believe, is what they said, onto our existing.
Well, either way, at
Yeah.
28 or 77, if the car gets
Yeah.
crushed, we still gotta buy one.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, so they still need it.
So you have the option, yes, Mickey, thank you. You have the option to do $77.70 per year. You have the option to buy the computers outright at $29,970.
Which way is everybody else leaning?
Can I,
If you buy on that brand, that's a 3-year warranty.
and if
If you
you,
do the 4-year, there's a 4-year warranty, and they replace the equipment every 4 years.
But you guys are guaranteeing you're going to do 7770 per year for 4 years, and you really can't do that. Because you can't commute future council's dollars.
if you're saying I can't, then why is it even an option?
That's my
You
concern.
can if it's a lease agreement.
Okay,
If it's
so
a
if it's a lease,
If it's lease, it's different.
okay.
I know we
That's how
never
do all
wanted
of our
to.
other debt.
I know we've never wanted to, but when Mickey was talking, she said that she, I mean, I felt like you felt like it was the way to go was the 7700.
This,
I know it's our decision, I'm just asking your opinion.
it said I'm sorry, this is the way I understood it, it was ongoing anyway, so I was assuming it was gonna be in there, so I just misunderstood. I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
And if I
We
took, I didn't do
currently-
the math, but if I took the 7770 for 4 years, does that come close to the 29?
We have budgeted both. So in fairness, we have budgeted the 29,970 and the 7770. If you choose to go with the 7770, it opens up 29,970.
But if I go with 29,930, it still
It
opens up
opens-
29,970?
It opens up 7770.
Oh, that's a year.
For this year.
Yeah.
That's a year.
For this
1
year.
year.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but again, if I do the math, does that come to 7770 times 4 equal 29?
31,000.
31. So right at the same thing, but you get a 4-year warranty instead of a 3-year warranty.
Correct.
And it just, I
And
guess
then they
it would
start over, it's
auto
like a
renew,
car,
or
you
it
get
could
your
come back
new
to
lease,
council to renew.
trade your
for
keys in,
auto.
get a
And
new
we'll
car.
auto
Trade your
renew
keys in,
every
get a
year
new
for 4
computer.
years probably.
Well, you could
77,
cancel, I'm sure, if you wanted to, right?
Because we
I
have,
don't know.
we
That's
have
the
that
question.
on
I
our-
don't know that.
Keith, don't we have this on body worn cameras? Aren't we in kind of the same kind of service agreement with body worn
Probably.
cameras?
Most people don't do computers just because of the cost of them, but
And I believe that warranty on the yearly one, if they drop it and break the computer, I believe that warranty comes to replace it.
But it would either way, is that correct? Whether I paid in full or if
yeah,
I do
either
monthly?
3 years or 4 years.
But I get 3 or 4 years, that's the biggest difference.
I don't think the 3-year one does. I think the 4-year one does. That's what I'm
Oh,
verifying
I
right
see.
now.
The 777.
If it's
Because it's a
the leased
lease,
one.
because I don't
Yeah.
own it, it's not
Yeah.
mine.
Yeah.
Right, but you get a brand,
They
you get brand
replace
new in
it.
4 years.
I'm not talking about the 4 years, I'm talking about like if I'm leasing it
Is
for
that
2
how-
years and I drop it and I break it, they replace it, but if I buy it 2 years later, they ain't
Yeah,
replacing it.
you want it outright.
The
yeah.
body
I
worn-
think before we make that decision, I need to do some research.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's not what I heard from Chris, so I need to, he did call them.
Okay.
And it is, what we tried to confirm is it is an either or.
Okay,
And I can see 7770 for 4 years. I can't imagine it is cheaper for us to lease these computers from them than it is to buy them outright. I've never seen a lease agreement that it's cheaper to lease them over 4 years
Yeah, that would make sense.
than it is to buy them outright for 3.
Yeah.
So I need to do a little bit of research. If council has a desire to lease, I will chase that. That would open up 29,970.
only if it's a better warranty
Right,
and
that's
a better
what I'm
drop
saying.
in step. If it's even, you know,
Yeah.
if it's 4 years warranty either way, then, you know.
I just need to do some research before I commit that. I am not comfortable committing to you, but if you have a desire to do that, then I will look that way. If you have a
Yes.
desire, just buy them outright. But if there is a desire, if it is a better deal to do it the lease direction, that frees up 29,970 to be allocated to something else.
Last, one more question, because again, I hadn't had a chance to go over the new one, and since Brittany's talking about a grant, is this included administrator position, or do
It
we
does
need to move that out?
No,
Okay.
the only thing on the budget, the only thing included are those things right there.
We have a printout of that anywhere?
It's
Yes,
in your
yeah,
budget
it's-
letter.
Sorry.
It's,
It's in this one.
That's the only thing I updated on your budget letter was that list. So it
'Cause that's
took
what
out-
I'm used to looking at, was that,
I
but
took
I mean, I
out
don't
the
mind the
Parks
other.
Department, I took
About
out
3 or 4
the, I
pages
didn't,
of the
we didn't add any of that other employee stuff. We,
there's
so,
not a lot of capital purchases.
Start from the back. It's 3 or 4 pages from the back.
Make up my mind. Here it is. Okay.
and I don't wanna hear it, Janet told me to number those two, and I'd already had three.
Well, it's just when someone else referred to, so.
It's cause this one, she knew you were gonna ask for page numbers.
Sorry. Sorry for so many questions. It's just,
No,
like
it's
I said,
okay. That's what
It's
we-
Andy's fault for making
It
me
is
look at every line.
100%. It is 100%.
So now we're to the point where is there any purchases you asked that we want to do
Yeah.
out of
If
the
you
capital
have an
improvement
interest-
one-time fund?
Or if you have an interest of going with the 7770, if it is indeed a similar deal, then you have 29,970 that we can reallocate.
Or wait till
Better-
mid-year
better-
budget.
Or wait till mid-year,
Put it back in capital.
huh? We can,
We
we
took
could
it out of capital,
put, we
Put it
could,
back in capital.
yeah. What we would do is balance the budget and we would take less out of capital is what we would do.
That's the way I think.
Yeah, if, that gives us a better deal, let's do the lease, I'm for the lease.
Oh, we're talking about the lease.
I
Yeah,
need to make
she's
sure
gonna,
though.
she's gonna, yeah,
Y'all really,
we're gonna check with that.
I have never seen a lease over 4 years cost more than something that you could buy outright in 3, so I just need to make sure.
Other than
And
that,
I
when I
need to
was
make
looking
sure-
at the list of wants and needs,
Huh?
and going through the list of wants, the leftover wants, I guess I
Yep.
should say, I don't see any that are a one-time purchase. So I
Um,
don't,
It's all uniform.
maybe replace
There's
damaged
some-
exterior,
Firewall, there is,
that was only one, right?
yeah, building remodel at PD, a dump truck for $103,000.
Well, that must be on another page,
Yeah.
I think. I
Yeah.
was looking on the first page, okay.
No,
I'm sorry, I
there's
looked at
not
the first
many.
page.
Oh, the
let's see.
Conex container.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
the Connex. I compared. I can get a 20-foot Connex delivered for about $2,500.
Did you,
So
Okay.
She did it.
Very
Mike
good.
hooked me up with somebody that can get me a 20-foot Connex delivered for about $2,500. So we could do that. We could put it toward we could add a couple of Connex boxes.
well, the
I
question,
also looked at the potential to go away from that and go to a small shed. Small sheds Mike knows more about this than anybody I know, so we had Steven's dad works for a metal building place, so I called them. Mike's ward's concern was sheds require more maintenance than Connex building. Really, you fill them, shut them, and walk away from them.
varmints.
Until they start rusting, they are really sealed. And he had a contact that he thought were about $2,500 for a 20-foot.
and my question is the Connex boxes that we have now, I mean, I guess they're rusted is the issue, is that correct? So I just don't know the need, is that a,
Rusted and
Yes.
floors probably rusted.
so then you're gonna have a problem with
Yeah, I
securing
mean,
the
they've probably
records,
been
right?
out there 20 years.
I had no idea.
They've been out there a long time.
Since
So,
we moved, since we
so that
had
would be
this
20
city
years.
hall, 2011.
So that
I just
would
don't know if
be-
it's a
yeah.
need or a want, does that make sense? I mean, like, I don't know the condition of that Connex
So
box.
we had a portable building behind our old city hall, and we moved all of that stuff, 70s stuff, back into one of the Connex buildings at PD. And that's where a lot of my stuff is. And I opened the door to that, and it had leaked, and everything in it was mildewed and ruined, except for everything at the back. If it was close to the door, it got.
And so that's
The
gonna,
other-
so you're saying but it's the back stuff's still in that Connex
Yeah.
box?
Yeah, I've got to go through it, but the stuff that was close to the front is probably.
The other thing
It's gonna be
Janet
demolished.
is kind of working on too is better record retention. We haven't been very good at that, so we need to figure out what can we destroy, what do we need to keep, how long do we need to keep it. And as Janet and I have been going through these ordinances, that's one of the things we really got to focus on over the next year is better record retention. Labeling, getting stuff, making it easier to find, so that when a building floods, we don't lose everything. So she did some pricing on that. Grace, a couple of years ago, had hers all scanned. They scanned everything. So there are some other options in there, but we're just, even though it's budget time, we're not really ready to put that out there and have that conversation.
So my question is, do you think, I mean, if one box is needed, is it
You
really
probably
needed?
need to. You probably need to replace both boxes.
And I
They're
think
not
that-
in great condition.
I think one of the things that we should do is put, because we did it in the one that I have, is put metal shelving in it, get everything
Yeah,
up
off
off
the
the floor.
That's the
Yeah.
other thing. We just have taken boxes and stuck them in.
Yeah, but
we
you think
need
if it's
shelves.
coming down, it's gonna get,
Yeah.
And it did.
depends on where it's coming
Yeah.
in, it's gonna get what's on the shelf just
Yeah.
as well as what's on the floor.
And we need to better manage that stuff, right? We need to check it once a month. We need
Seal
to make sure
it,
we don't have any
something.
leaks. We could have
Paint 'em
sealed
once a
it.
year on the roof.
Yeah.
What's
We could
that?
have sealed it.
Paint 'em once a year on the roof.
So there are some mistakes made that we
Well,
set it and forget it, so we can do better at double checking that stuff.
I'm just saying if it's ruining stuff, it's only gonna continue to
Yeah.
ruin it, so,
Yeah.
I mean, do we want to do that?
That's why Janet was looking at
Oh.
better long-term options to.
But is that something that's gonna happen before we lose more?
I haven't seen
paperwork
it, so I
or
can't answer that question. So,
After?
You know, we could probably,
I don't know,
Yeah.
so we'll
we
have
can
to,
probably look into, I guess just,
I don't
we
have any
can look
idea
into
what's
the
in the
numbers
box.
of how much everything is and what would be better off for the city.
Yeah.
If buying two is better and we can get a better deal, maybe we buy two.
So you're gonna come back to us with that when you come back to us with the, well, I mean, if it's a need, that sounds like more of a need than a want. If it's destroying records, unless you don't care about the records, I mean, then we don't care about the records, but.
And I
if
don't
we-
have any idea what's in them.
Where are those Conex boxes
They're
stored?
down at police.
At the
Okay.
PD.
Is there any excess storage area in the new,
There's
community
not.
center?
Janet called around to get, like, if it is that bad of a damage, I don't know, because like, again.
I mean, can you just put a ceiling on
Yes,
it? I mean,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it's holes in the
I-
ceiling or.
Sometimes it's better to start over when Conex boxes start going to pot, and if we've let it get to that condition for $5,000.
Well, I didn't know if we want to put a
Yeah.
Band-Aid on it until we do something different,
Yeah.
if that's what you're asking, or if we just need to replace
Yeah.
it, and then that gives you, of course, then it's like we have two Conex boxes.
And what all are we storing, and do we need to be storing it? Like, there are a lot of questions, right? So when this showed up on the list, I started asking questions, but
For 5,000, probably starting in.
Yeah.
Well, you can do that, or I can just tell you, you can go get seat purlin and put a screw on the side along the deal where you're not puncturing the roof, and put sheet metal R panel on top of it.
depending on what the issues are,
What
so.
the issues are, if it's a roof, I've done that before, it's very easy to do, it's a one-day
Well,
project.
if I'm just saying, I didn't want to spend, I mean, if we spend 5,000 on two boxes, and then we do something different, now we got two empty
Yeah.
Conex boxes.
Why
You
don't,
know,
instead of
so-
doing that, why
but if
don't
we're
you
not gonna be able
let
to do that
us
for a
do
year or
some
two.
exploring? If we end up needing two Conex boxes, I will bring it back to you as a council meeting as a capital improvement. It's really not even
That's true.
capital, but that's what that money has been there for, is equipment. So I can bring it back to you at a council meeting and say, hey, I need $5,000 out of capital improvement to do this. It doesn't have to go in
Probably
this
sell them
budget.
for $1,000 even the roof
Yeah.
and rusted.
Well, and I can tell you that companies that come in and scan are not cheap, and then you have to pay an ongoing
Yeah.
service.
Well, that's what she was saying,
Yeah.
what is in
Yeah.
there? How old is it?
Yeah,
And
what
is it
can be
still
destroyed?
needed?
Because there may be stuff that can be destroyed. I just don't know. And I don't know that we know enough to have an educated conversation with you. We started having this conversation when it's like, oh, shit, I had this problem. Well, we got some research to do before, which is why it moved to my want list. Because I don't have enough to give you an educated conversation about that. And so,
Okay, and was not able to do the dog kennel for the patrol truck, right, that's not on the list?
I did not put that on the list, no. I have some concerns about that. I know it looks good. It looks great. But now we gotta get the dog up in the back of that high truck. I crawled up in that truck at July Fest, if you missed it. It was quite an adventure. So now an officer's gotta get a dog up in the back of that truck. We're down to one truck. So we need to talk about some logistics of that before we.
Well, if they're gonna go out to calls, what are we expecting them to do?
Yeah, how often is called? I've got a lot of questions. So your city manager has a lot of questions before you invest in a dog kennel for a truck. So, how often is the truck driven? What if they're not driving the truck? Then what do we do? What if somebody isn't in the truck and the truck is parked back? And then if we get a fussy dog, how do we get the fussy dog in the back of the truck? So,
And I get that, I'm
Yeah.
just saying, if we're expecting the police to respond
Yeah.
to animal control, and if they need to
Yeah.
pick up that animal, how is that transpiring?
nope, that's what I say we have to figure out.
That's- we talked about it
Before
before.
we just stick a kennel in the back
Even though
of
the
the
truck
truck.
is sitting there, they have to leave their PD truck,
Yeah.
go pick up that
Yeah.
truck, and then they get a call, and then they're.
No, and I think it's a great, you brought up some great questions even at the last meeting of where, and is it for show? If it's for show, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it just to show people we have a kennel in the back of our
No,
truck, right? So, but if it is a logistic, well, what happens if somebody's not in the truck? Why don't we, if we gotta go get a truck, let's go get the animal control truck, right? That's my whole thing. The truck isn't on patrol all the time. So,
The truck that the police is not on patrol
Yeah.
with that?
Yeah.
I think that's all, they have the SUVs or whatever.
yeah, they have SUVs. So I just need to do some research before we commit to that.
Or if there's even a portable kennel, I don't
Well, I
know
gotta
what the
remember, I
answer
get
is.
these, I don't have time to ask all the questions before it's budget time, right? So, we're gonna change that process a little bit, so.
All right, back to the consensus.
So the consensus is if the 7770 works out to be the best deal, 4 years, less expensive, put the 29,970 back into capital, take less out of capital.
Yes.
Yes. And then mid-year, what do we need?
And what I can do between now and then is make this list better,
Please.
and get some answers. And then that would be March, April, right?
Mid-year.
April, I think.
March is 6 months.
Yeah, so that would be the April meeting. I would have better information on records. I would have better information on, yes, sir.
I was gonna give you my consensus. I think everything we're talking about is great, but I want everybody to keep in mind that where we're headed, if everything doesn't happen, we're gonna get into trouble. And as long as you're aware and conscious of where the money's going, please make that consideration. Because it is a taxpayer's money, and
Sales tax, absolutely.
it's a great concern I have. I mean, it's happened from Washington DC all the way down.
Well, there's no
Overstand.
doubt, I think, and it may not be in our lifetime, but if, you know, well, it depends on what businesses we have and what we have here. I mean, it's hard to do on sales tax, but at one point you'll tap out once all the businesses are built, you know what I'm saying, or
You
it
had
is
built
what
out.
it is. Huh?
You had build out.
Yeah, you know, then you're gonna have a problem.
There's
You
no
know
more
what I'm saying?
land
It may not be in our lifetime.
What I'm saying is, with the personnel, which is the largest expense, I think we're at a crossroad if things don't bust out. That's
We
where
are.
I'm concerned.
But we'll stay in the present for now.
Okay.
Deal with what we're dealing with.
So you gotta watch it. It's
And we got great
absolutely
things coming. I mean, we got,
Yeah.
like I said, we got the HCO, we got the Seven Brew, you got that bakery.
We're betting on ourselves that we're
You
gonna
got
do
the
a
bakery
great job with
situation
marketing and
there. I
bringing
know
new
of a few other
businesses in
things
here.
that are coming in.
And I'm okay betting on
Potentials
myself.
and.
I just don't want to leave it with somebody else down the road and say.
No.
So you're
No,
not
no.
making a decision today, but I need consensus, just like we did last time, that everybody is comfortable with. If the 7770 is a better deal than the 29970,
Yes.
and
Yes.
I will get answers. We're
Yes.
gonna move forward with the 7770, new patrol cars, new computers in patrol cars. We'll reallocate, we will take 29970 less out of capital improvement. Mickey, same page? Okay, everybody else?
We do want you to do is the payroll study.
I will start looking at that. I need a yes,
Yes.
everybody,
Yes.
because what I don't want to do is get on the dais and present you a budget that we talk about here and then everybody's changed their mind, right, for approval. I'll wait.
Yeah.
We'll have another meeting. We can do a lot of things to get everybody. I am not trying to push this, but I do not want to get on the dais because public opinion makes it rough when you agree here and you don't agree there, or you get on there and there's contention. So I
And we've
just want to
done that
make
in the
sure,
past.
as we are closely watching all of our expenses, which is what I do every single month, does everybody have the consensus that that's how we would move forward right now?
Yes.
Yes.
All in favor, raise your hand.
Okay, so I don't need a vote, I just need a
I
consensus.
just got the deal the other day.
Well, yeah, minor changes since August 1st, so. All right, boss?
This meeting is now adjourned.
Kelly.
About time. Did you hear?
I do, because I've had to pee for the last hour, so. I'm about to pop.
And Mom can go because she had from the sun and the